Wow, this is where my journey with mindful self-compassion started. In 2018 February in Kenya, GEI Global Engagement Institute, in collaboration with the Money Counseling Center, offered the first mindful self-compassion training sponsored by the Center for Mindful Self-Compassion, California, USA. And we were about 55 Kenyan counselors from all organizations, and I was part of it, representing Susan Getao Counseling Foundation, and I happened to just fall in love with mindful self-compassion. At that time, I was very tired. I had a lot of burnout. I teach at African Nazarene University, so I had a lot of burnout. So when I saw the term self, I thought it's about me. I thought it's about my well-being. And so I was in there, and I made sure that I stayed at Brackenhurst Hotel in Limuru with the trainers, and I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot. And that is why I would not keep this secret, this goodie, to myself. I would like to share this, especially with the continent of Africa. I always say that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, just like I am doing. And so I have gotten partnerships, great partnerships. And especially in Kenya, Susan Getao Counseling Foundation has been very, very instrumental. Africana College of Professionals, they have been very instrumental. And African Nazarene University, where I work, we even have an online set for mindful self-compassion certification. And so, what I want to tell you about mindful self-compassion. It is a self-care practice. It is a self-care practice that I would encourage everyone to take, including children. We have self-compassion for children, self-compassion for teenagers, we have self-compassion for youths, we have self-compassion for adults, and we have self-compassion training for professionals. Ideally, everyone is actually a potential beneficiary of mindful self-compassion. And so you may have the interest of wanting to understand what exactly is mindful self-compassion. Those three words are very instrumental in understanding mindful self-compassion. And I want to talk about two great minds that are behind the concept of mindful self-compassion. We have Kristin Neff and Chris Gamma. Both of them live in the USA, and they founded mindful self-compassion. Way back, Kristin Neff came up with this idea that you can have suffering that is internal. You can have suffering that you sometimes don't know what to do about it, but you can start treating yourself with utmost kindness. You can start saying, I still matter. You can start saying, I am still a beautiful human being. You can still say that this suffering, I will stand it. I will not run away. I will be here. And in that way, you become a winner. You become a conqueror. And so, with Chris Gamma, who came on board to empower her, enhance her work, in 2003, they even started doing scientific inquiries. And they realized this practice is actually the one practice that will never die. And it borrows a lot from mindfulness practice, because one of the words is mindfulness, or one of the terms or concepts is mindfulness, which simply means paying attention to moment experience. And the truth is, most of us live in the past, and sometimes our thoughts go so far away into the future, and we forget that there's a lot of beauty in the present. And so we struggle. Like when we have struggles, when we have challenges, all we think about is how the past has been very unfair to us and how the future is going to be hopeless. We are not enjoying the moment. You can imagine, like, I have this green environment. I am in Rwanda, Kigali right now, and you can see this beauty around. You can have the gratitude of breathing normally. You can have the gratitude of having a family. So many things in the present moment you can decide, I want to enjoy. And sometimes we also get anxious, we get stressed up, and we forget that in the here and now, I can just stand it. And so mindfulness is one concept that is the driving force of mindful self-compassion. And so where is the word compassion also coming in, and why are we using compassion? This is basically in my own terms, but that is also the term in mindful self-compassion practice, that even if there is suffering, even if there is a challenge, I can do something about it. By noticing it, that it is happening, that removes denial. By noticing that, yes, I'm suffering, I don't deny the pain. And then acknowledging, I can take a step and do something about it. That is compassion. And I believe if the whole world is driven by compassion, none of us is going to feel exploited by another. No one is going to feel abused by another, because what is going to stream out of our hearts and our minds and our whole being is alleviating any suffering in the world. So you can now believe me that if the whole world was compassionate, you can begin by being mindful. And I look at mindfulness, and when I come to the counseling practice where I do a lot of my practice, we talk about empathy. But you know, empathy stops us just becoming aware of what another person is going through, but never sometimes taking a step. Because in counseling, this is what we believe, that if you get into the client's world, you have a cognitive understanding, then they will become aware of themselves and they can sort themselves out. But for compassion, you have noticed the suffering, you have experienced that suffering with the client. Yes, empathy might help you a lot if you're a counselor, but you are not leaving it there. You are doing something about it. And then we have that one other term that is highly used in mindful self-compassion that we call humanity. Can you imagine how many people in the world are suffering and they are thinking they are the only ones? They do not think about someone else in Kenya, in Uganda, in South Africa, in Southern Sudan, in Egypt. I am talking about the African continent, that they could be suffering. So suffering is common to humanity. And so when I know that I'm suffering and somebody else somewhere has suffered before, and they could be suffering right now as I am suffering, then I belong to a bigger universe. So I am not alone. And the truth is, when people come together and they start sharing their painful stories, they realize there's another one there, there's another one there, and there's another one there. So what happens at the end of the day? We become one big family in the world. And so the three concepts are used in depth and they are used widely to actually understand mindful self-compassion. And note that we have compassion, we have a mindfulness, and we have common humanity, that all of us suffer as a whole. So why am I here in Kigali? By the way, this is the second time I'm coming to Kigali. I have done this training in Kenya 4 times with a partner, and very many times alone. I have integrated mindful self-compassion whenever I am invited to do corporate wellness, group work. I always give in, I chip in, I share what I have in mindful self-compassion. But for matters of spreading mindful self-compassion to Africa, Rwanda, I've always considered Rwanda as my second home. This is a country that we all know. The whole world, I think some of us are still feeling guilty that Rwanda in 1994, over 1 million souls, over 1 million human beings died as the world watched. And so I always tell myself I'm also part of the bigger compassion ministry. What can I do? And so it becomes my second country after my own country, Kenya, to do good and to spread the mindful self-compassion training. And so I am already a teacher trainer, courtesy of Grace Gama, Steve Hickman. He was the director of Center for Mindful Self-Compassion until late last year, but one. and he was very instrumental with Chris Gama, with Galia, with Miriam Lute, who has been very supportive, co-training with me in Africa to make MSc a reality in Africa. I have great minds and great souls to talk about from United States of America, and we have also Miriam Lute from Germany, and now we have an amazing soul called Carlene. Carlene is the director of MHub, Mental Health Hub in Rwanda, and also operating with the headquarter offices in Cape Town. She has been also an amazing soul who has offered to partner with Susan Gitao Counseling Foundation and one MSc teacher, licensed teacher, Miriam Lute, that this time, this year, 2024, we are coming in a second time. So the two of us are going to be the main trainers. We have about 45 participants coming here from date 15th. We are going to have a short course, experiential practice with Kenyans and Rwandan people coming together. And we are going to see how mindful self-compassion interplays in various cultural diversity and inclusivity. We are open to allow everybody to come in and experience mindful self-compassion, because again, we want to spread in common humanity. We don't leave out anyone. So we are all here trying to give ourselves a chance to do good and to receive good. So we are doing this training a second time in Rwanda, because the first one we did on last year, December 2023, and we had very good response, and we want to do it as regular as possible, because we want to raise one trainer here. He's already trained with us online 2 times. He's called Janvier Mohire. He's a clinical psychologist at MHub based in Kigali, Rwanda. And we like to mentor. I was mentored by Chris Gama, and Miriam Lute partnered with me and is still partnering with me to train mindful self-compassion. I want to also mentor Janvier Mohire so that he can even start doing the training once he qualifies for the teacher training. And I believe the MSc family that is watching me from all over the world, that you're going to make Africa the next point of discussion. You are going to support us. We Africans are not very good online. We like talking with our bodies. We like talking with our gestures. And so if we can have your support, such that we can have many teachers flowing in, even from all over the country where mindful self-compassion has been practiced over many years. We are only as young as 2018. We can have more MSc teachers. And if we have more MSc teachers in Africa, you can be assured this gospel, I call it gospel because it's good news, is going to spread to as many populations in Africa as possible. Why am I trying to persuade you and advocate for your support for Africa? Because one thing is very clear: we already have a very big burden economically on the developed countries. But if we can be able to understand and be equipped with the skills of mindful self-compassion, and I'm very happy because the Inner Development Goals practice, IDG Hub, that also has a lot of Africans who are joining day in, day out. We are trying to sync the Global Development Goals, or the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and what our issues are in Africa. And one of the issues, of course, we want to alleviate poverty. And I want to tell you for a fact, so long as we don't stop, become mindful of what is happening within us and amongst us or between us, we might as well as Africa remain a very big burden to the world. So we would like our people, we would like our fellow African people to go inward and see the resources that are within and bring them out. And I want to tell you one practice, because I have practiced mindful self-compassion. After training, the first short course, what is very reflection in 2018, the same year I proceeded to the USA and I did the teacher training, and afterwards, and 1 year sponsorship again course, certificate for professionals in counseling practice or clinicians. We did self-compassion in psychotherapy. And as a psychotherapist, I want to tell you, because I practice in my country, I practice across the board, I do online counseling, I have found mindful self-compassion very, very beneficial, not just to me, but to my clients, because they quickly get to know that they are very resourceful. They quickly get to move out of self-sympathy to doing something about their suffering and about the suffering of other people. And I wonder what other beautiful thing I would like to say about mindful self-compassion. I would like you to keep tuned, because we are going to give you moment-to-moment production of what we are doing in Rwanda. And I am very happy that you're going to work with me in this journey. This has been your one and only Dr. Susan Gitau, a counseling psychologist based in Kenya and a senior counselor supervisor with the Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association and licensed by the Counselors and Psychologists Board of Kenya. Thank you again, Rwanda people. I'm happy to have you here, and I'm happy to have your partnership. Thank you.